What's up, my know-it-alls? It's the Mr. Know-It-All Show, specifically the Know-It-All Files. What are the Know-It-All Files? The Know-It-All Files are where Mr. Know-It-All searches the internet for your questions. The questions specifically about Star Trek, and I go into depth and answer those questions for you, ultimately proving that I truly am a know-it-all. Anyways, so, all right. All that being said, wait, before we get started, there's something we got to do first. Computer, play that intro. Hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am, of course, Mr. Know-It-All. I'm so excited to be doing this with you today. So here we go. Let's dive right in. Computer, first question.
In Star Trek Picard, why does Q die when he is omnipotent and all Q live forever?
Yeah, it came as a surprise to Q too, as well, also. I guess you want the real answer, though. John Delancey's done with the role. Yeah, how do you play an omnipotent immortal being and still continue to get older? You eventually had to write the character out, as much as we would love to keep John Delancey forever and ever and ever, especially with all that nifty de-aging technology we have today. But the truth is, he's done with the role. So, and it's the same, it's not new. I mean, with Doctor Who, you had actors who came up with a very clever concept of regeneration. So you can always swap out an actor when they're done with the role. You also had the original Reeves, who played Superman in the old black and white days. And here he is turning 40, and it's like, how do you, and he's running around in leotard and whatnot. The original Highlander TV series, same thing. The producer had a hard time with Adrian Paul. He's getting older. And so at the end of the day, you sit here and you say, okay, well, what is the solution? And the solution clearly is you kill off the character. You find a reason in a way that works in story and in canon. And I think they did that. I of all the elements that people like or dislike, and you can take or leave parts of Star Trek Picard Season 2, I genuinely, though it feels forced in some places, I loved the moment. I love the moments at the end where you get that nice resolution between Picard and Q, where he sort of is about to send off, and I love that moment. I ate it up. I'm a big sucker for that. So, yeah, comment below. Would love to know your thoughts about what you guys thought about Q dying, and what does that mean for the Q? Is it because of John Delancey's desire to be done with the role? Does that affect canon and how other Qs, or should we just assume now all Q have an actual expiration date of some sort? So it's interesting. Comment below, man. Love to hear your thoughts on that particular topic, and I will see you below in the comment section. Okay, so let's continue on. Computer, next question, please.
If Spock was from such a powerful family and knew T'Pau personally, why was he allowed by the Vulcans to serve in Starfleet and even risk his life?
Up until the 2009 film, we'd never actually seen firsthand Spock having to deal with these events. We've heard about them somewhat, and we sort of knew that they've inferred that it was an act of defiance versus sort of him trying to find and discover who he is personally. Historically speaking, in non-canon, or in B-canon, if you will, books and novels and whatnot, you're given the impression that Spock has always searched for who he is, only to now finally eventually discover who he was on the Enterprise as a result of his friendship with Kirk and the others and whatnot, and events that eventually guided us and moved us to reunification and others and onward and forward. So you get to this place where, it's Spock was a half-breed. He's a half-breed who had to deal with the abuses of being a half-breed on a world that is almost xenophobically racist and bigoted. Not because they don't trust or don't like other species, but because logically they are the better fit. Like when you feel like you're right, Vulcans are an entire planet of narcissists. Take it from a recovering one. They literally are, and so over time they learn to use that wisdom better and learn to be treat everyone somewhat like a child species compared to themselves, and ultimately how they can always help and endear and blah 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 and whatnot. So I'm actually very interested to see in the far-flung future of the Discovery has laid out for us, 34th and eventually 5th century, what they look like together. what that whole Romulan Vulcan coming together means. Is this where Romulans eventually become like Vulcans? So that'd be an interesting journey to sort of see and discover moving forward. So comment below, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about the Romulans, and specifically sort of why did Vulcan move, and Spock, what was like, why this move forward happened. What did you think about it? Did you think, was it the right move? Should he have stayed on Vulcan? What are your favorite moments from Spock's very well-decorated career that all of us love so much? So, all right, we'll see. Yeah, there you go. Computer, what's the next question?
What was Uhura's first name in Star Trek?
The first time Uhura's name is officially canonically used is in the 2009 Star Trek film. Okay, when you find out that her name is Neota. Now, it had been several times throughout the series that Neota was dropped, but I believe it comes from a novel. If I'm wrong, there is a book. I want to say it was in the Star Trek II biographies. I know it's one of those extra books that you get when movies come out, like the artwork, concept art, all that nonsense. There's something here that labels her as Neota, and I want to say it was a Star Trek II art book. Anyways, the point is, yeah, Neota is officially her last name. She's been through, in the original series, they'd inferred several different very African-sounding names with various things and whatnot. I know Nichelle Nichols was very partial to Neota and was ultimately very happy that ended up becoming that ended up being considered the official canon name for her. So, yeah, there you go. Love to know what your thoughts are. Comment below. Let me know what you think of Neota, and specifically her first name. And I know that I'm thrilled for Strange New Worlds again to start up again and see everything that actress is putting into the character of Uhura. She's bearing that standard now that Nichelle Nichols is no longer with us and has truly boldly gone. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the character has in store and kind of how that evolution continues. All right, so there you go. I will see you in the comment section to talk more about this. Computer, next question. Okay, so Captain Kirk's desire to extend full, quote-unquote, presidential honors or diplomatic honors to then generated or however you want to call it, President Abraham Lincoln, it's Starfleet standard. He may not have been the president of Starfleet or president of the Federation or anything like that along those lines, but he absolutely positively is would be considered a diplomat and worthy of that level of respect. And so, yeah, no, I don't think he made a mistake at all. I think it's exactly how default to what you know, man. You can sit here and be like, well, you're just a figment of our imagination. Or you can sit here and say, you're President Lincoln. Let me show you the president suite. Let me show you where we put all diplomats. You know what I mean? And kind of walk them off that way. But yeah, no, I don't think it was a bad thing. I don't think it's wrong or bad or whatever else. I think it's right where it needs to be. So hopefully that answers your question. But comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Did Kirk make a mistake? Should he kind of been like, whatever, man, put you in the bunker like Shaw does for Picard and Riker in Picard season 3? Or can you imagine Lincoln sleeping in a bunk, some lower decker beneath him, like, you good, Mr. Lincoln? What's going on? Yeah, anyway. Right on. I'd love to talk more about this below in the comment section. I'll see you there. Okay, so here we go. Moving on. We got time for one more question. Let's see. Computer. Next question.
In Star Trek lore, the Romulans gave cloaking technology to the Klingons in exchange for the D7 class design. Why would the Romulans give away such a powerful technological advantage for just a few ships?
Okay, so remember, Romulan power at the time was sheer impulse. It's literally their whole thing was just like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to conquer. They moved. Not to mention they didn't have the ability to go much faster. They didn't have warp capability. So all of a sudden you're introduced to another species. It turns out to be Klingons. They seem to be down for being like, all right, you guys are equally idealistic, though we don't necessarily know if we trust you or not. But we do see you have an impressive piece of technology that would all of a sudden open up the stars, which, by the way, according to Romulan history, was closed to them. Remember, Vulcans at some point evolved to become Romulans, and they eventually broke off. The ones that wanted to become logical became the Vulcans we know, live long and prosper. The Vulcans that didn't want to stay and be logical became Romulans, and they got on a ship and took off. Chances are when they took off, they were going at some form of sublight and traveling for hundreds of years until eventually they arrived at where they were, meaning Vulcans got about 100 years so jump on them in terms of their ability to, their history and their evolution. So now you add this group who has traveled through space, maybe encountered one or two species, and eventually, well, after they've established themselves in a home place, they are looking to expand, and what do? They got nowhere to go but space, and they don't have the ability to actually travel in space the way they used to. So they have to, or at least they can't. How aggressive can you be, literally being a species who's doing nothing but, putzing around the universe at sublight speed? So then you suddenly find yourself going, well, one, they would need not only the technology, but also they would need the ship lends itself to travel. What do you care about? They didn't understand the ramifications. I don't believe the ramifications of giving cloaking technology away were understood. But at the same time, because they weren't part of the bigger tapestry, so at the same time, they're sitting, but they need to go. They're like, well, clearly there's a universe out there we have to be a part of. Okay, hide and seek technology, here you go. Give us the ability to actually explore. That's all that mattered. The ability to conquer, the ability to go out. That's what happened. So comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you're partial, if you're a Romulan historian of any kind. Would love to hear your opinions and thoughts on the entire scenario. Was it a good deal or was it not? Should they have bargained a little more, or when you think realistically about the scenario, you kind of go, okay, I get it. I mean, I totally get it. So it's something to keep in mind for how all of them, how they move forward and progress. But I wouldn't judge them too harshly for that. So yeah, So yeah, all right, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them and talk more. I'll see you in the comment section. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you are halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. I got to tell you, I love doing the know-it-all files. Comment below, ask your questions. I'd love to hear more and more about the sort of the thought process you guys have regarding some of these scenarios. And if I'm wrong or if I'm right, let's talk it through, man. Also, your knowledge may be deeper than mine. I mean, I'm a Trekker who jumped on in Next Generation Season 3, so all of a sudden, what do I know? I know the name's Mr. Know-it-all, but you might know more than me. Anyways, all right, guys, we'll talk to you very soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.